All right, welcome back inside Oracle Arena in Oakland ahead of Game 2 of the 2018 NBA Finals. We're joined once again by ESPN insider Brian Windhorst. And Brian, you know these guys better than most of us. Psychologically, where are the Cavaliers at following that Game 1 breakdown at the end of the game?
John, they were devastated after Game 1. They were really, really down. LeBron talked about it was one of the worst losses of his career. George Hill talked about how he couldn't sleep. Kyle Korver said he needed to watch Billy Madison to get his mind off of it. But they have an opportunity tonight. They really do. The Warriors are banged up. Andre Iguodala, I don't believe is going to play. And while Klay Thompson may play, he is going to be limited. He has a high ankle sprain. You cannot play through that. He will be limited. And you may not necessarily see it offensively. He may still be able to hit shots. But defensively, where he is a real asset to them, he is not going to be able to move the same. The Cavs have an opportunity here to take one. And I think they're going to need to do that. They're going to need to come out and play well at the start and play from in front. Take the crowd out of it and get the Warriors to get inside their own head a little bit. They have to get over Game 1. They can't be still adjudicating Game 1 in their head out of the gates here tonight.
Draymond Green gets a lot of credit defensively, former Defensive Player of the Year, but Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala are the best, certainly perimeter defenders on this Warrior team, and two of the better guys in the entire NBA. That really changes things if one of them's not here and one's banged up.
Well, frankly, this Warriors team isn't that deep. Now, my God, at the top, are they talented? But you go 6, 7, 8 to the bench, they're in trouble. It's, it's one of the reasons why they change their starting lineup all the time. Steve Kerr started a different lineup beginning of each half the other day. You take out two of those guys, or even if Klay's in the game, he's half of himself. They don't have the superior depth that they've had in years past. So, the Cavs, if Klay is limited, which I expect him to be, the Cavs will be the deeper team. They've got to make that manifest itself and get a win out of this and make this a series.
I asked Tristan yesterday if that scuffle at the end of the ball game maybe can lead to some energy in Game 2. Is that something that can happen? What happened at the end of that ball game, given the little fire that Tristan showed and the rest of the team, can they ride some momentum into Game 2?
They need to do anything they can to get energy and edge to start this game off, because I've seen many series, and just look at you don't have to go that far back. Look at the Raptors series. The Raptors were so demoralized after that Game 1 loss, and the Cavs stepped on their throat and ended them very quickly and took care of business. That's the way this series could go if the Cavs aren't careful. They have to start with an edge out of the gate. LeBron's averaging 14 points a game in the first quarters after losses this postseason. He's got to have that type of first quarter here on this court tonight.
J.R. Smith said yesterday there's a lot of pressure on these guys when they play with LeBron. Obviously, the guy's going to put up 50 points, and anytime your star does that, you should win the ball game, which puts a lot on their shoulders. Is it starting to weigh on them? As much as we're talking about the other Cavaliers, is it starting to weigh on them?
This has been far and away the most difficult season for almost everybody on this roster, because not only are you playing on a huge stage night after night, but the challenges that this team has had to deal with. There has been very few happy days for these guys this year. They're all emotionally exhausted. When this season ends, they're all going to emotionally crash for weeks, and that is part of the reason why it's so hard to win a championship, but it's especially hard for this team this season.
Do you look at Game 1 and say, wow, they really missed a major opportunity? Or do you also look at Game 1 and say, well, maybe this series might be closer than we all thought it would be?
Well, history tells us that if a first game of a series goes to overtime, it's historically a close series.
Yeah.
And so I think the Cavs should I think their game plan functioned pretty well. Yeah. If they had, made 65% of their three-pointers and lost in overtime, I'd have been like, wow, they're in trouble, because they play at the highest level. I don't actually think they play at the highest level, because they only shot 27% from three. John, at some point, the Cavs will make their three-pointers. They have not done it in 7 of the last 8 games. Maybe that will be in next October. But at some point, I promise you, they will hit threes again. And if they do that tonight, they will win the game. And if they do that enough in this series, they will have an opportunity. Will they do it? I don't know. I don't know where that shooting has gone. They're getting open shots.
All right, Brian's going to stick around with us for a little bit. He's going to talk about a story, a very emotional story that he did early this postseason. We'll have that coming up later in the show.